Hello everybody, my name is Lori. Today I'm going to be talking about my April 2025 budget. This month I am budgeting $8,482. This includes my regular income from my employer and a little bit of contribution from my son for household expenses. So for planned regular expenses, my new amount is $83.82. I swapped from Spectrum to Google Fi. I don't know if this is helpful information to anybody, but back a couple of months ago, I saw that Spectrum had increased my bill to $170 something, and I asked them if there was anything they could do about that because that was ridiculous. And the person I talked to on the phone said, no, not at all. Well, she offered me different packages, but the cheapest package she had was $143, which was basically just the internet. And I was really stunned by that. But I said, okay, well, I think I'm probably going to have to cancel because that's just ridiculous. That's just too much. And they were like, okay, fine, whatever. And so I went ahead and changed it to Google Fi, and then when I called Spectrum to cancel it, the person I spoke to on the phone, she was like, this is so annoying. She said, this is so annoying because those people should have sent you over to me, and I could have offered you a deal at $60 a month. And I was like, well, that's too bad because that's even less than this, But I said, what can I say? I'm all set up with the Google Fi now, so I'm not going to change it. Maybe I could have still, for $23.82, but whatever. Anyway, so she was bummed. So for the water bill, it's of course, basically April, and well, I have to start watering my grass, and I hate watering my grass. It's literally water down the drain. It makes me really frustrated that my HOA is so hardcore about the greenness of the grass. And just yesterday, I was outside working in the yard, and my neighbor was out there, and I just mentioned about how I was just waiting for the letter because I've gotten a letter every quarter since I've moved in here. And she said, oh, they've already sent out the letters. And I was like, well, really, what? And she's like, my other neighbor, a couple houses down, had gotten a letter. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I've escaped unscathed this month. But, so, anyway, I have to water the grass, or I'm going to get letters. And the letters hurt me deeply. So anyway, that's the water bill. For electric, of course, AC season. It's air conditioning season, and I expect the bill to go up for that. So I put down $150 for this month because I don't have the AC on all the time, and so I don't expect it to go up right away. But I expect in May it'll be much more. For natural gas, it being heating season is just about over with. This month's bill is $117.61, and going forward, it's going to eventually, next month or the month after, it's going to drop down to like $11. But I am thinking about going ahead and continuing to send maybe not $117, but like say $100 a month, so that in the winter time when I get the bill, because I don't know if you remember, a couple of months ago my bill was $271, and I was thinking that I would send more every month than the minimum, so that when winter comes, maybe I won't see a bill as high as $271 again. And so for my cell phone, I budgeted $31.27. My landscaping company, now last year at this time, they charged me $231 to come out and do their thing, and I would expect it'll be about the same for this month. And for my HVAC, it's $21.44 as usual. So for total regular expenses, I have budgeted $758.14. So for my annual expense for my regular savings, I've decided to use that account really intentionally for annual expenses. And I actually had somebody give me this advice to, now that I've paid off all of the annual expenses for the year, basically it's a new year, and I have my next annual expenses, my car insurance, and that's going to be in September. So, I also have like car registration and inspection and stuff like that. But the point is that now is a good time to basically start over with the sinking fund, basically, for my annual expenses. So I'm going to target my regular savings account specifically for annual expenses, so that next year in January, when I have to pay my HOA dues, it's $902, I'll basically have that money saved up. And March is a big month for annual expenses. I have the car insurance, my umbrella policy, my HOA dues, escrow. It just all seems to come at once. So I'm going to be very focused on making sure I have the money set aside for those expenses. And another reason why this is important is because somebody else suggested that I change my withholdings for my taxes, because I got a pretty decent tax refund this year. It was $3,900 or something like that. But anyway, they were suggested that I change my withholding so I get more money in my paycheck. So by doing that, I'm not going to get a refund next year. In fact, I'm scared, actually. To tell you the truth, I'm scared. I'm afraid I'm going to end up owing. But I want to take advantage of this opportunity to put money, set aside money for these annual expenses, because I've always used that tax refund to pay my annual expenses. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm so scared about it. I feel like the fear is going to make me do the right thing. So my secondary savings is just basically, I only put $25 a month in there, but mostly it's just to make extra. Once I build up like $100 or $200 in there, I use that money to make an extra debt payment. And it's the same thing for my SoFi savings. I put in $50 a month, and then in a few months I'll have enough money in there where I can make an extra debt payment. Okay, so food and groceries, I'm budgeted $437, and I thought about lowering that because that's the way it's been. It's been in kind of low the last few months, but I'm afraid that if I budget less, then that 1 month I budget less, I'm going to end up going over. In fact, that's what happened in February. I budgeted a little bit less and I ended up going over. But of course I went over because I got my tax refund, and so it's not like I spent money I didn't have. Basically, I spent money on the last day of the month in February on groceries and things like that, so that, and then basically I didn't have to spend as much in March because I basically spent that money in February. For eating out and snacks, we don't have any plans to do that right now. For coffee, budgeting $30.50. That's for the Great Value brand K-Cups. It's pretty much the cheapest ones I can get. I also, a couple, not March, but in February, I bought just loose ground coffee, and I got I've had it for a while. I didn't have to buy it because I already had it. It's just a reusable K-Cup. You put the grounds in it, and you can make your own K-Cups with it. So I got that, and I've been using that. And I've also been just making potted coffee instead of using K-Cups at all, because just the coffee grounds, the loose grounds in the can, are much less expensive than the K-Cups. So for household supplies, I budgeted $50, and for personal care, basically $25, and for gas, $135. And I've actually thought about lowering my gas budget, but I'm working some extra days in April this month, and so I don't want to put down a lower number this month. So maybe in May I'll lower it down. But also, I don't know if you noticed, but the cost of gas has gone up a little bit. So I'm kind of scared to budget less than 135. So for my regular plan variable expenses, I budgeted $950.50. So for debt payments, my mortgage is $2138.34. Okay, comes out of my paycheck automatically. My car payment is $534.86. My home improvement loan, I'm budgeting $537.20. And my other home improvement loan, I'm budgeting $343.52. Did I say that correctly? $357.20, $343.52. For my Lowe's credit card, I'm only budgeting $487.06. And for my Fidelity, I'm only budgeting $200. And the reason for that is because I'm planning on paying off my Chase card, and it's $1,900. So my total debt payments for April, $5,960.98. I've given myself $100 allowance, and I just think it's, for me, I have nothing in mind right now that I need, right? But I have found that if I don't give myself a little something, then I end up buying stuff I probably shouldn't buy. But I think I've gotten better. The last couple months, I've gotten better. Since the first of the year, even, I've gotten better. If y'all were here when I did those videos, I was spending a lot of money on fabric. So, anyway, giving myself $100. I don't know if I'll use it or not. I hope not. I kind of think of it as a challenge to not use it. Okay, $25 for sales tax. Donations, $200. And speaking of donations, you know, there was, I don't remember exactly, a month or so ago, I don't remember the exact date. I don't remember the exact date, but at one time I'd said something to somebody, or maybe it was just to myself. I was like, you know, you hear so many stories on YouTube about people who are really struggling. They are in a bad situation, you know, and I feel bad about it because, you know, as bad as my situation is, believe it or not, there are people who've had it much, much worse than me. And I thought, you know, I don't know personally people who are in really dire straits. I don't personally know anybody. And I thought, well, you know, there might be people I know, but I don't know their situation. I don't know their bills. I don't know what their expenses are. I don't know how much they make. So there might be, I might actually know people who are in dire straits. And so it was just a thought that I had. You know, it was just a thought, just random thought. And then in March, when I took my son, he was in a parade, and we I took him to the parade, and I was just on the street while he was in the parade, and I saw a homeless person who was, you know, asking for help. And so I went over to her, and I was talking to her for quite a while about her personal situation that she was in. I gave her $20. You know, it's all I really had, you know, but we had a nice talk, and I won't go into it, but, you know, she told me about how she ended up on the streets, basically. And I was like, look at this, I have literally met somebody who is in dire straits. Literally, just, I felt it is very interesting. That I was thinking this, I didn't personally know anybody who had been in dire straits that I was aware of. And now I'd met somebody. And I don't want to say I was glad I met somebody that was in dire straits, but it kind of makes it real, I suppose, because it's not just people you see on YouTube or in the news. And then just yesterday, just last night, my son had some friends come over to watch a movie. And one of them was a guy that he had met at the parade, which I thought was wild. And his mom came in with him, and we sat down. We were just chit-chatting and stuff. And she was telling me about her situation. You know, she's living in subsidized housing. She doesn't have a job. She has 2 kids. You know, and I'm like going, this is notable. Now I've met 2 people in a month who are in dire straits. It's like I have nothing to complain about. Absolutely nothing. My situation, my finances are a mess, for sure. But honestly, I have nothing to complain about. When you're meeting people who are in these situations, you know, she was telling me that, you know, she used to have a job, and she ended up going on Section 8 because she'd lost her job. And she said that she found out that if she went back to work, her rent would go to $3,000 a month. And I was like, you've got to be joking. I says, I thought Section 8 housing was based on income. You know, and you would have to be making $6,000 a month, $7,000 a month in order for that math to math. She said that's not how it works anymore. She said they charge you what the going rate is. They don't do a income based. And I was like, that's understandable why she doesn't go out and get a job. If her rent goes from next to nothing to $3,000 a month, what is the incentive, I suppose? But I don't know. It was something. So I did not give her any money. I didn't have any money to give her. But it did put it in my heart and mind to look for opportunity in the future where maybe I can help her and her son out somehow. I don't know. I don't think that it would be appropriate. It's like giving money to my brother for, you know, daycare for his grandson. It's just kind of disrespectful, you know. But maybe there's something else I can do to help in some way. I don't know. Anyway, that's my story time. So, I don't know if y'all recall, but first or last week of the year, I got some blood works. I really wasn't feeling awesome, and I was thinking maybe my thyroid levels were off, and they were. So my physician changed my dose, and he wanted me to go back and get my thyroid checked again after 3 months, just to see how I'm doing. And I was not expecting to get that done until April, but because I'm working, extra days, I knew I wouldn't really have time to go do it the first week of April. And so I went and had it done in a couple days ago, and my levels are back to where they're supposed to be now, so changing the dose on the medication really seemed to have helped. But anyway, I haven't gotten the bill yet for that lab work, and I expect I'll be getting it here in a few days. And I don't know how much it's going to be, because they don't tell you when you go to get it done. They don't tell you how much it's going to be. But I put down $140. The good thing about that is that it comes out of my healthcare savings account, so it's fine. So for shipping, if I get my brother's quilts done, I will have to ship those. And for my buffer, I put $255.60. Depending how things go with everything else during the month, I will put this towards debt. At the last day of the month, I'll send it towards debt. This and any other, if I underspend on any other category, I'll take all that money and I'll put it towards debt. So for total extra things, it was $812.38. So my total expenses for the month right now, I'm budgeting $8,482. Okay, and here's my pie chart. So for planned regular expenses, I'm budgeting 9%. For planned variable expenses, 11%. For debt payments, 70%. Planned infrequent expenses, 0. which is annual expenses basically. Emergency 0%, and extra things 10%. Alright, well that's it for April. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and listening to me tell my stories. I appreciate everybody's support, and hope you all have a wonderful day. And come back in about a month and I'll tell you how it went. Alright, thank you. Bye-bye.